Chapter 1794. No matter how strong or how heaven-defying a man was, he was still a man. Once he falls in love with a woman, he would no longer be strong. Even Dmo Xian was the same. Because he had his own weakness. With a weak spot nearby, one's perception would decrease. The current Dmo Xian was wholeheartedly pampering his beloved young lady, so how would he possibly notice their plans? What's more, someone like Yiqing Luo who valued relationships and righteousness. He had the two men in his hands. He didn't believe that Yiqing Luo would abandon his brothers and leave with Dmo Xian. As for him, he only needed to suppress Yiqing Luo. Were they still afraid that Dmo Xian would not surrender obediently? This time, not only could he help his father to bring Yiqing Luo back to the island, they could even capture Dmo Xian along with them. At the same time, he could also make use of Dmo Xian, to take all the forces in the imperial palace for his own use. At that time, he would be his father's favorite son. He would also become the future island master. The skinny old man frowned. "Young master, you are too confident. This kind of confidence is not a good thing." As the future master of the island, he naturally hoped that the young master could face everything with confidence. However, the other party was Di Zun. He was a legendary figure in the Nirvana realm. Even the island lord wouldn't dare to touch the Arch Palace. The young master actually wanted to swallow the entire imperial palace? Wasn't his appetite a little too big? I guarantee that nothing will go wrong with today's plan. Shi Shanglan's expression suddenly darkened when he heard someone questioning him. His eyes and smile were still as gentle as the spring breeze. However, there was a strange viciousness to it. No matter how one looked at that face that was as gentle as jade, there was a sense of incongruity. "Wu Sha, you just need to follow this young master's plan and arrange everything properly. After today's matter, this young master will definitely raise the status of you three siblings on the island." When the skinny old man called Wu Sha heard that, the words of advice stopped at the tip of his tongue. Far away, Yiqing Luo's private room. Dmo Xian hugged Yiqing Luo's petite body, but his peripheral vision was faintly discernible as he shot a glance at Shi Shanglan. "Ah Xian, after Shi Shanglan makes his move, if we follow him, will we be able to find Xiao Yi and Jin Zi?" Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her head and looked at Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian caressed her fine black hair. "So, what we can do now, is to wait." "Wait," Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, "but he hasn't taken any action. Does it mean that he isn't fully prepared? If we continue to wait, won't we be giving them a chance to prepare? What is his identity? What is the power behind him? Not to mention, since he chose to make a move in the treasure-gathering pavilion with a few tens of thousands of people, even if he wasn't completely prepared, he would absolutely not give us the chance to take advantage of the situation." Dmo Xian lowered his head and looked at Yiqing Luo, who was unable to conceal the anxiety in her heart as he sighed softly. Everything about his lass was perfect. He was too sentimental and righteous. If a true expert had too many restraints in his heart, he would not be able to escape. This kind of restraint would only become a stumbling block to reaching the top. However, it was also because of the importance she attached to relationships. It was precisely because she seemed cold and hard, but in fact, she was a gentle girl. She attracted his gaze. His beloved Lil Luo, It was this kind of Lil Luo, Chapter 1795. Yes, she wanted to bid for the heavenly primordial serene grass and use it to refine pills for the two little sacred beasts. But in the current situation, how could she care about the Tianyuan serene grass? But when Yiqing Luo raised her head and met with Dmo Xian's glistening peach blossom eyes, her petite body suddenly trembled. Right, her goal was to retrieve the sky primordial serene grass. If she didn't care about the Tianyuan serene grass, wouldn't Shi Shanglan, who had been spying on her in the dark, sense her abnormality? She could not let Shi Shanglan suspect anything. She must bid for this returning heaven primordial serene grass. Now. What number of items are we at now? Yi Qing Luo turned her head and looked outside the veil towards the direction of the first floor. The ninth item. Dmo Xian took her to the railing, returning heaven primordial serene grass. The ninth item for auction was the sky returning primordial serene grass which Yi Qing Luo wanted. Fortunately, he did not miss it. At this moment, there were still more than 3,000 people bidding for the heaven returning origin serene grass. The base price was 50,000 gold coins, and the returning heaven primordial serene grass started at 10,000 gold coins each time. The price had already reached 3 million gold coins. It was obvious how many profound practitioners were yearning for the returning heaven origin serene grass. As long as they could obtain the heaven restoring origin serene grass and refine it, they would be able to achieve a breakthrough and bring glory to their clans. This was a glory that could not be bought no matter how much money one spent. Now that he was feeling the pinch, he had to spend some money. It would be good for the future. In an instant, the price of the heaven returning serene grass soared to 5 million gold coins. And the person who called out this price was Prime Minister's son, who was seated in the cabin not too far away from Yi Qing Luo. Prime Minister's son was the strongest person in the Sun family. He was unrivaled along the way and became the Prime Minister of the Eastern continent. Not only did he rely on his means, but he also relied on his ability. The current Prime Minister's son was already a high-level Earth Profound 8th grade Profound practitioner. He was only a step away from advancing to the 9th grade of the Earth Profound realm. If he consumed the pill refined from the heaven restoring serene grass, he might be able to step into the Sky Profound realm. He had already invited a Grandmaster alchemist to refine a pill for his advancement. Prime Minister's son was determined to obtain the returning heaven primordial serene grass. He was auctioning something in the auction house. What mattered was not who was more powerful. It was about who had more money. Many rich kids began to bid again. Prime Minister's son couldn't wait to get the returning Sky Yuan serene grass, so he didn't bother to argue with the others. 10 million gold coins. The atmosphere suddenly froze. The clamor instantly died down. 10 million gold coins? Could Prime Minister's son afford that much money? The East Wave continent was so fertile. Spending 10 million gold coins for an herb that could raise the mystic rank? Was Prime Minister's son crazy? Or, did he want to obtain this stock of medicinal herb to advance? Promotion? Everyone in the auction house looked at Prime Minister's son's private room enviously. If Prime Minister's son wanted to ascend to the Sky Profound realm, he would become a Sky Profound Supreme Expert. Indeed, he did not care about money. Once he succeeded in becoming a sovereign of the Sky Profound realm, even if it was 30 million or 40 million, he was willing to spend it. 10 million gold coins. 10 million gold coins, are there any other bids? The white-browed old man hit the auction stage with a hammer. He shouted at the top of his lungs, but no one responded. He raised his hammer high. 10 million gold coins going once. 10 million gold coins going twice. 10 million. 15 million. Suddenly, a sweet voice was heard. Another 5 million? Everyone was stunned. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice to see who was so daring. Chapter 1796. In the VIP box on the second floor, a slender jade-like hand lifted the white veil. It revealed the face of a beautiful young girl. The girl was dressed in a fiery red dress. Standing behind the veil, the flaming skirt was like a phoenix spreading its wings, flashing with a charm that made one unable to look away. Facing tens of thousands of pairs of eyes that were looking at him in unison. The girl was extremely calm and did not have the slightest bit of stage fright. Instead, she revealed a dazzling smile. It was like a blooming poppy, exuding a suffocating charm. Yi Qing Luo, it's Yi Qing Luo. I was wondering who dared to challenge Prime Minister's son at this time. Other than Yi Qing Luo, there's no one else. Among the people seated on the first floor, someone immediately recognized Yi Qing Luo. After all, there were at least 1,000 people queuing at the entrance of the treasure-gathering pavilion. The Zhao, Qian, Sun, and Li families, as well as Prime Minister's son's bullying, They all saw it. Now that he saw Yi-Ching Luo standing out to challenge Prime Minister Sunday, they were not surprised at all. When Yi-Ching Luo's name was called out, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. Almost 10,000 people all stood up as they raised their heads to look at Yi-Ching Luo's cabin. After all, ever since Yi-Ching Luo returned to the headquarters from the Dark Forces, Yi-Ching Luo's name had already spread throughout the entire country. There was no one in the entire Nirvana realm who did not know about it. He had to rescue the students of the various academies who were trapped in the dark spell. He became the benefactor of the various powers and sections. Then, he risked his life to sneak into the base camp of the Dark Forces and secretly revealed the location of the base to the Imperial Palace. Most importantly, this girl was only 15 years old. The girl who had been called trash in the past. Using his own strength, he sealed the King of Darkness consciousness. He had crushed the conspiracy of the Dark Forces. Even the ghost martial arts master, who had never been interested in anything other than practicing martial arts, was full of praise for him. Furthermore, he had a golden mouth to judge. In the future, Yi-Ching Luo would definitely be a talent who could ascend to the upper realm. Such a big name. It attracted the attention of tens of thousands of people every minute. Yi-Ching Luo had totally not expected that she would actually cause such a huge commotion. Even when he obtained the divine artifact in the tomb of the Ling King, it did not cause such a huge commotion. She was completely famous. 20 million. Just as everyone was admiring Yi-Ching Luo, Prime Minister's son was so infuriated that his chest kept heaving up and down as he clenched his teeth and spat out 3 words. Everyone turned to look at Prime Minister's son again. Looks like Prime Minister's son was determined not to let go. And that 15-year-old girl obviously didn't want to let Prime Minister's son have an easy time. 21 million. Yi-Ching Luo smiled lightly as she wasn't in a hurry to increase the bid. Prime Minister's son slammed the table and glared at her angrily. Stupid girl. Do you know the rules of the treasure-gathering pavilion? Once the deal is made, it must be done on the spot. She was just a 15-year-old girl. Even though she had become famous to the point where she was known by everyone, she was still a little girl. However, it was only a matter of a few days. Even if the General Hospital were to intervene, they wouldn't be able to prepare 30 million gold coins for her in such a short time. Premier's son absolutely didn't believe that Yi-Ching Luo could take out so many gold coins. Yi-Ching Luo raised her brows. I know, is there a problem? Prime Minister's son seemed as though he had eaten half a fly as he didn't know whether to swallow or spit it out. The surrounding people didn't give him any face as they all burst out laughing with a pft. The meaning in Yi-Ching Luo's words was very obvious. She wasn't afraid to do the transaction on the spot. Chapter 1797. Prime Minister's son suppressed his anger as he called out again, 25 million. Yi-Ching Luo's expression didn't change, 26 million. Obviously, Yi-Ching Luo was going against him. No one was willing to give in. As for the other tycoons, they were also extremely interested in this medicinal herb. Earlier it was because they heard that Prime Minister's son was going to advance to Sky Profound stage and they weren't willing to offend a Sky Profound overlord. But now, Yi-Ching Luo was blocking in front of them. Those tycoons also started to call out their prices in a probing manner. It was just a joss stick's time and the price had already reached 57 million. Many of the tycoons were sweating profusely as they looked at the sky recovering primordial serene grass with extravagant hopes. But the price had exceeded what they could accept. What was left was a stalemate between Prime Minister's son and Yi-Ching Luo. 60 million. Just 3 words and one could tell that Prime Minister's son was gritting his teeth. Apparently, the current price had touched his bottom line. 61 million. Yi-Ching Luo smiled lightly as she continued to increase the bid by 1 million. The surrounding people were in a flurry of discussion. They were all guessing what was Yi-Ching Luo's identity. She was actually able to take out so many gold coins without any change in expression. Even if the number 1 tycoon was here, he wouldn't be able to take out 60 million gold coins without any heartache. Did Yi-Ching Luo really have so much money? There were quite a number of people who were directly betting on the final price of the sky recovering primordial serene grass. The white-browed elderly held the hammer as he raised his voice. 61 million. Are there any higher bids than 61 million? 61 million going once. 6,000. 65 million. The tensed voice was as though the words were squeezed out from the slits of his teeth. Prime Minister Sun's expression was steely green. He clenched his fists tightly as he suppressed his rage. No matter what, he absolutely could not fly into a rage on the spot. When he got the sky recovering primordial serene grass and refined the medicinal pill. When he advanced to sky profound stage. He had plenty of ways to make Yi Qing Luo live a life worse than death. This time, after hearing Prime Minister Sun's bid, Yi Qing Luo didn't immediately increase the bid by 1 million. The surrounding crowd guessed that 65 million should be Yi Qing Luo's limit. But the next moment, Yi Qing Luo's eyes suddenly widened as she blinked. Prime Minister Sun, you're so rich 65 million, I'm afraid even the East Continent's treasury doesn't have so much money, right? As far as she knew. The East Wave continent most likely didn't have the ability to take out 650,000 gold coins at once. Prime Minister Sun's offer was even higher than the East Water continent's national treasury. Obviously, Prime Minister Sun was not clean. Everyone also thought of this point when they heard Yi Qing Luo's seemingly innocent question. He looked at Prime Minister Sun suspiciously. There were also many people from the East Wave continent present. After hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, the expression on his face suddenly turned gloomy. No matter how wealthy a prime minister was, it was impossible for him to take out 65 million gold coins in one go. Even the East Water continent's Jade Dome sect might not be able to afford it. Where did Prime Minister Sun get his money from? The answer, even if one used their toes to think, could be guessed. You. Where my money came from, has nothing to do with you. Prime Minister Sun's face was gloomy as his eyes were filled with malice. He clenched his fists tightly as his other hand wiped the sweat which seeped out from his forehead. Yi Qing Luo's long-ending tone dragged out an "oh." Following that, she looked at Prime Minister Sun with a beaming smile as she said word by word, 66 million. Chapter 1798. Yi Qing Luo. Prime Minister Sun couldn't bear it any longer. What on earth do you want to do? Looking at Prime Minister Sun's embarrassment turning into anger, unable to maintain the Prime Minister's dignified look, Yi Qing Luo's brows curved as she smiled delightfully. What do I want to do? I want the Tianyuan serene grass back. You. Prime Minister Sun pointed angrily at Yi Qing Luo as he panted in anger. Yi Qing Luo spread out her hands as she shrugged her shoulders with a helpless look. Prime Minister Sun just has to quarrel with a junior like me. What else can I do? I'm also in despair. Prime Minister Sun's dry lips kept trembling. He clutched his chest and gasped for air. Prime Minister Sun, do you still want to bid? The white-browed old man interrupted the quarrel between the two guests. As the auctioneer of Jubao Pavilion. Looking at this kind of customer who was completely playing with money in order to go against the other party. He loved it the most. But no matter what, that girl seemed to have a good relationship with young Master Shi. Bidding. Of course. Prime Minister Sun took a deep breath to calm himself down. The white-browed old man was the chief auctioneer of the treasure-gathering pavilion, and he was also one of the managers of the treasure-gathering pavilion. Naturally, Prime Minister Sun did not dare to offend him. 67 million. Prime Minister Sun's heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. Yi Qing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as she gave a thumbs up to Prime Minister Sun for being able to persist till now. Was Prime Minister Sun going to use his entire fortune to buy this sky-restoring serene grass? He really went out in a whoosh. Was he certain that he would have the opportunity to break through to the sky-profound realm? So, he had already disregarded the consequences and was going all out? 67 million. It wasn't that she was out of money. The money she had was more than enough to deal with Prime Minister Sunday. When Dmo Xian gave her the profound phoenix ring, there was a huge pile of coins inside. After that, she went around, swindling and abducting people, plus the cooperation with the Mu brothers. He had earned quite a lot of money. Although the majority of the coins that she was bidding for were those that Dmo Xian had placed in the profound phoenix ring. However, she still felt heartache. After all, when they got married in the future, Dmo Xian's money would also belong to her. Now that she was spending so extravagantly, her heart ached for her small amount of money. Cough cough, of course, Yiqing Luo totally didn't want to spend 60 to 70 million gold coins to bid for a stock of 1,000-years-old medicinal herb. 10 to 20 million was still within her acceptable range. It would be foolish to buy it at a price several times higher than this price. The only reason why she kept bidding was to annoy Prime Minister Sunday. But, it seemed that Prime Minister Sun had almost reached his bottom line. If the bidding continued and Prime Minister Sun gave up, she would really feel distressed about her money. Suddenly, the hand around her waist tightened. Yiqing Luo instinctively blurted out, 68 million. The arm around his waist tightened even more. Yiqing Luo was puzzled as she looked sideways at Dmo Xian. But Dmo Xian's expression was grave and his face was chilly. He made his move. What? Dmo Xian hugged her waist, not to let her raise the price, but to remind her. Yiqing Luo's expression sunk as her gaze immediately shot towards Shi Shanglan's cabin. He realized that Shi Shanglan's voice had indeed disappeared. There was no one in that private room. Let's hurry up and catch up. Yiqing Luo didn't have the mood to continue bickering with Prime Minister Sun as she anxiously tugged Dmo Xian's arm, trying to catch up with Shi Shanglan. Chapter 1799. Yiqing Luo's breathing grew heavier and she tried her best to slow down her breathing. That was right. Dmo Xian was right. She was the center of attention. Everyone's gaze was fixed on her. If she leaves, Shi Shanglan would definitely be suspicious. Once Shi Shanglan became suspicious, Xiao Yi and Jin Zi were probably in danger. She had to believe in Dmo Xian, to believe in Little Nine. At this moment, Prime Minister Sun's private room was frozen. The butler next to him tried to persuade Prime Minister Sun to give up on the returning sky serene grass. He was slapped away by Prime Minister Sunday. Now, it was no longer just a problem of a single stalk of herb. He was the Prime Minister of the East Wave continent. If he lost to a 15-year-old girl in terms of money, then he would lose. Wouldn't that be a joke? He had given up on the returning Heaven Essence serene grass. There were people from all over the world, from all continents, and from all kinds of forces. In the future, they might laugh at the Sun family. Perhaps they would laugh at the East Water continent. More importantly, the news that he was about to step into the profound Sky Supreme realm had already spread. If he could not advance to the Sky Profound realm, the Sun clan had climbed to their current position by stepping on the heads and corpses of many people. Those sworn enemies of the Sun family would definitely not give him the chance to advance to the Sky Profound realm. No matter what, he was determined to obtain the heaven-returning essence serene grass. Prime Minister Sun's eyes were bloodshot. He clenched his teeth, stood up, and walked to the railing. His hand gripped the railing tightly as he said word by word, 70 million. The auction hall was silent. Everyone turned to look at Prime Minister Sunday. Prime Minister Sun was sweating profusely, breathing heavily, and his face was flushed. Everyone knew that Prime Minister Sun must have taken out his entire fortune to bid for this herb. In order to advance to the Sky Profound realm, Prime Minister Sun was really going all out. The people present were all shrewd people. He also knew that Prime Minister Sun was really angry now. Challenging him at this time would drive Prime Minister Sun crazy. Furthermore, 70 million. That was 70 million. And they were all gold coins. Gold coins. Even if he was a tycoon, he wouldn't be able to take out so many gold coins. Immediately following that, everyone's gazes shot towards Yiqing Luo's cabin. Unknowingly, Yiqing Luo had put down the veil, concealing everything in the private room. The whole place fell silent once again. Is he giving up? The white-browed elderly was also looking towards Yiqing Luo's cabin in astonishment. Yi Qing Luo's bid didn't come even after a long time. Prime Minister Sun's heart was burning with anxiety, and he clenched his fists tightly. Manager of the treasure gathering pavilion, time has passed, please drop the hammer. The white-browed elderly looked at Yi Qing Luo's private room for some time before he raised his hammer and shouted, 70 million. 70 million going once. 70 million twice. 70 million. He paused for a moment. The surroundings were still silent. The white-browed old man made the final call, 70 million going thrice. Deal. A silent battle finally came to an end. Everyone sighed. He had not expected Yi Qing Luo to choose to give up the bidding in the end. But, it was true. Even if the entire Western continent used their national treasury and Three Springs sect to gather 70 million gold coins, they might not be able to gather that much. Yi Qing Luo was an earth-profound cultivator. She was still 1,000 miles away from the sky-profound realm. There was no need to spend all her fortune to buy this stock of herb. Yi Qing Luo's decision to give up was within everyone's expectations. In the end, Prime Minister Sun obtained the sky-returning primordial serene grass at the price of 70 million gold coins. Chapter 1800. His face was ashen and his eyes were gloomy. If it wasn't for the fact that they were still at the Jubao Pavilion's venue, he probably wanted to rush over to Yi Qing Luo's private room and dismember her into 1,000 pieces. Prime Minister Sun tore off the veil angrily. The steward of Jubao Pavilion delivered the heaven-returning serene grass to the private room. He left immediately. He didn't have the slightest interest in any other rare treasures. Even if he was interested, he didn't have any more money to bid. At the same time, Yi Qing Luo's private room. When Prime Minister Sun shouted 70 million gold coins, Dmo Xian's arm tightened as he lowered his voice, "We're here, let's go." Yi Qing Luo immediately tore off her veil. Where would she find the mood to raise the price with Prime Minister Sunday? Before leaving, Dmo Xian flicked his finger lightly. Shiruashi, who had been unconscious, opened her eyes in a daze. Before he could pounce into Yi Qing Luo's arms, his shoulder was pressed down by Yi Qing Luo's arm. Shiruashi's body fell back onto the chair. "Little Shi, you have to help me with something," Yi Qing Luo said seriously. Shiruashi's face flushed red as she nodded in a daze. "Whatever Sister Qing Luo needs, little Shi will definitely help you settle it." She felt that this kind of sister was so dashing. "Ah, Xian and I are going out to do something. You stay here and pretend to be me." Yi Qing Luo pointed to the veil at the side. "Stand in front of the veil and don't lift it up. If you have nothing to do, raise a sign and shout out a price." "Ah. Wi." Shiruashi was confused. "I'll explain it to you when I get back. Only you can help me now." Yi Qing Luo saw the urging in Dmo Xian's eyes and whispered to Shiruashi, "Little Shi, you won't let me down, right?" "No. No way." Shiruashi immediately widened her eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, the hands on her shoulders suddenly felt lighter. Yi Qing Luo had already stood up straight as she pulled Dmo Xian out of the room quietly. He looked at the empty room. Shiruashi was still in a daze. In his mind, he rearranged what Yi Qing Luo had said earlier. Shiruashi had been by her brother's side since she was a child, dealing with the Shi family's affairs. Naturally, it wasn't as harmless as it seemed on the surface. She quickly understood that Sister Qing Luo definitely had something to settle. Moreover, they couldn't expose that Sister Qing Luo wasn't in the cabin. With that in mind, Shiruashi clenched her fists. This was the first time Sister Qing Luo had entrusted her with a task. She must do it well. After leaving the private room, Yi Qing Luo was worried about leaving Shiruashi alone in the private room. After all, Shi Shanglan's spies were all around that private room. What was Shi Shanglan's identity? She had no way of knowing. She could not let Shiruashi get hurt because of her. Yi Qing Luo nestled in Dmo Xian's arms as he carried her and chased after the nine-tailed fox. Yi Qing Luo took out a message shell from the profound phoenix ring. Yi Qing Luo had never used this before. After leaving a message in the shell. When Dmo Xian passed by Shi Ruoyu, Yi Qing Luo stuffed the shell into Shi Ruoyu's hand. Shi Ruoyu was standing backstage, watching the 10th auction item. Suddenly, his body was hit by someone. When he raised his head, he only had time to catch a glimpse of shimmering purple. In his hand, there was a hard object. He frowned as he looked around the surroundings alertly. He didn't detect any abnormality at all. Even the steward beside him had a composed expression as he continued with his work. Which meant that someone had bumped into him earlier. Other than him, no one else sensed it. His heart suddenly tightened. Chapter 1801. Jubao Pavilion, in a dark secret room. In the silence, suddenly, a creaking sound came from the only wooden bed in the secret room. Following that, a petite figure sat up. Her soft and powerless hands grabbed the side of the bed, trying to climb down the bed. But she was obviously out of strength. Her hands left the side of the bed. His whole body fell from the bed. With a bang, the door to the secret room was opened. A tall figure slowly walked into the secret room. The scene in the secret room was comical and funny. The girl's upper body was on the ground, her face was covered in dust and weeds. And her lower body was still hanging on the bed. She heard someone approaching. The girl forced herself to stay conscious and looked over. The candlelight flickered, and it was extremely dark. She could vaguely see 2 feet in front of her, as well as a brown robe. Clouds rolled out of the golden edges of the robe. Her heart trembled, and her lips moved slightly. But she didn't have any strength to make a sound. Xiao Yi, look at you. I'm not by your side, and you torment yourself like this. A gentle voice floated over from above her head. Soon after, the tall figure had already stooped down. 2 thin but powerful arms wrapped around Yan Xiaoyi's slender waist. Yan Xiaoyi's breathing tightened, and she tried to struggle. But she felt as if all the strength in her body had been sucked out. She couldn't push away the person who was hugging her. Sensing Yan Xiaoyi's movements, that gentle voice floated over again. Xiao Yi, it's because I love you too much. You're my fiancé. In your heart, there should only be me. Yan Xiao Yi opened her mouth. She used all her strength to spit out an inaudible breath. You, shameless. The dim candlelight flickered incessantly. Faintly, it shone on Shi Shanglan's gentle face. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and a warm smile appeared on his face. No matter how one looked at him, he looked like a handsome young master. But when Yan Xiao Yi saw that face, a hint of anger appeared on her face. However, just as she uttered those 3 words, she seemed to have lost all her strength and fell into Shi Shanglan's arms. Shi Shanglan had drugged her. Too despicable. What was Shi Shanglan trying to do? He actually dared to make a move on her in treasure-gathering pavilion's territory. Yan Xiao Yi still remembered it clearly. After she had a chat with Yi Qing Luo yesterday, she was determined to try her best to forget the feeling of loving Qiao Jin. She would not do anything, because she couldn't be with Qiao Jin as an engaged couple. She had to force her brothers to choose between her and Qiao Jin, and so on and so forth. She loved Qiao Jin. He also loved his brothers. Giving up on Qiao Jin didn't mean giving up on those brothers. Yan Xiao Yi had already tried her best to keep the atmosphere between her and Qiao Jin the same as before. However, Qiao Jin's reaction. It still pierced her heart. Said to let go. But he was unable to truly let go. She was afraid that she would cry in front of Qiao Jin. He was also afraid of arousing Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian's worries. Therefore, she took the opportunity to blend into the crowd. She only wanted to wait for her emotions to stabilize before returning to their side. But she had just left Yi Qing Luo for a short while. Her tears didn't even have time to fall. A pungent fragrance filled her nostrils. She had no time to react before she completely lost consciousness. Chapter 1802. She felt weak all over. Her surroundings were dark. This made Yan Xiaoyi's heart surge with an ominous premonition. Shi Shanglan's gaze was locked onto Yan Xiaoyi's face. He saw her expression turn serious, nervous and flustered. He let out a low laugh from his throat. Xiaoyi, don't be so afraid of me. After all, we are engaged. We have to get married. His voice was as gentle as usual. It was like the spring water flowing through her heart. However, Yan Xiaoyi felt an inexplicable chill in her heart. Shi Shanglan carried Yan Xiaoyi and placed her back on the wooden bed. He sat on the edge of the wooden bed. Yan Xiaoyi, who had just laid on the bed, suddenly tensed up. She stared at Shi Shanglan warily. Shi Shanglan's slender fingers gently stroked her fine hair. His fingertips were filled with a strong sense of pity. If Yan Xiaoyi had not kept looking into his eyes, she would have thought that Shi Shanglan was really in love with her. Shi Shanglan looked at her and smiled extremely gently. However, Yan Xiaoyi could not see any emotion in his eyes. Right. There was no emotion in Shi Shanglan's eyes. Even though he pretended to be in love. But in the end, that affection was fake. She could tell. Don't look at me like that. I will not be able to control myself. Shi Shanglan lowered his head gently and kissed her forehead. The man's gentle breath landed on her face. Yan Xiaoyi felt goosebumps all over her face. When he kissed her, she felt a chill run down her spine. Yan Xiaoyi even wanted to vomit. She cursed Shi Shanglan's entire body in her heart. She did not have the strength to struggle or scold Shi Shanglan. She could only passively endure Shi Shanglan's humiliation. She would rather die. Don't worry, I will not touch you for now. Shi Shanglan naturally felt Yan Xiaoyi's body tensing up. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. His lips moved away from her forehead and landed beside her ear. To be honest, if you're obedient enough, maybe I'll consider letting you truly become my wife. Yan Xiaoyi's body tensed up. She kept shrinking her body and tried her best to avoid Shi Shanglan's touch. His nearness made her feel disgusted. Become his wife? Spat on his face. But at the next moment, Yan Xiaoyi suddenly realized something. Shi Shanglan said he would not touch her for now. Then, what was Shi Shanglan's goal? Why did he trap her in this secret room? Recalling yesterday, he specially brought 4 invitations to the main courtyard for Yiqing Luo. Shi Shanglan's motive was Yiqing Luo. Shi Shanglan's motive was. He wanted to use her to threaten Yiqing Luo. He wanted to use her. She absolutely could not become Yiqing Luo's burden. Yan's mind started to think of over. Yan Hangyi's thoughts. Suddenly, her eyes lit up as she thought of something. She had Hangyi. Lan. Shi Shanglan carried her by the waist again. Shi Shang, Shao Li Li Xian Shi Shanglan and Shao Tian Shao 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 Shang Shant. Yen Shao Yan's Yen shivered. Yen Shao Shao Yen said. Yan Xiaoyi shuddered. She felt a chill down her spine. In terms of family background, I am not worse than Xiao Jin. In terms of innate talent, Xiao Jin cannot be compared to me. In terms of looks and temperament, he is incomparable. Shi Shanglan smiled warmly. As soon as his voice fell, Yan Xiaoyi's body landed heavily on the wooden bed once again. The hard wooden board hit her back. Chapter 1803. Yes. Xiao Jin is inferior to you. Almost using all her strength, Yan Xiaoyi let out a low, hoarse voice in her rage. Although his voice was low, it could be heard in the quiet secret room. But I like Xiao Jin. I just love Xiao Jin. She enunciated each word with great force. Hearing this, Shi Shanglan's smile became even gentler. His knees were pressed against the side of the bed. He looked down at Yan Xiaoyi, who was lying on the bed without any resistance. Like? Love? He smiled warmly and said, but Xiao Yi, I am your fiancé. The person you should love is me. A person like you who doesn't even know how to love, and you still want me to love you? Yan Xiao Yi panted lightly, and the words she spat out became increasingly softer. The last two words had already become a stream of air. Not a single sound could be heard. Shi Shanglan's gentle eyes were like a painting. All right, good girl, don't force me to be too rough with you. Too violent? What did he mean? What did he want to do? A trace of panic flashed across Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. Before she could react, Shi Shanglan's body had already landed on her. Shi Shanglan. The soundless air current chided Shi Shanglan's name. Yan Xiaoyi was completely flustered. Didn't he say that he wouldn't touch her for the time being? Yan Xiaoyi's eyes widened, and her breathing quickened in that instant. Shi Shanglan's expression was still gentle and his smile was still warm. However, his actions were so ruthless that it was nauseating. His large palm caressed Yan Xiaoyi's delicate body wantonly. In the depths of his gentle eyes, a layer of lustful coldness gradually appeared. Even if he had no love for this woman. But with a beauty in his arms, he wanted to tease her. Shi Shanglan could not help but feel excited. His hands caressing Yan Xiaoyi's body became more and more wanton. His hand had just touched Yan Xiaoyi's skin. Yan Xiaoyi's entire body trembled, her weak and powerless body was also anxiously regaining some strength. He raised his hand and struggled, trying to break free from Shi Shanglan's restraint. However, this made Shi Shanglan even more fearless. Disgusting, what a disgusting feeling. Shi Shanglan actually dared to treat her like this. Yan Xiaoyi's eyes were burning with rage. She didn't want Shi Shanglan to touch her. She absolutely did not want it. Pa! There was a loud noise. Yan Xiaoyi struggled and slapped Shi Shanglan's face. Even though he was drugged, his body was weak and weak. Yan Xiaoyi's slap left a bright red palm print on Shi Shanglan's face. Shi Shanglan, who was on top of her, suddenly stopped moving. Shi Shanglan propped himself up, the gentle expression on his face was already cracked. His face was gloomy, and he touched his cheek with one hand. A pair of eyes that had always been like flowers blooming in spring actually shot out an extremely biting cold intent. Yan Xiaoyi glared at him fearlessly. She couldn't help but sneer inwardly, this is his true face. He was a bloodthirsty, cruel demon. The corners of her mouth curled up, revealing a hint of cruelty in her evil smile. Without waiting for Shi Shanglan to react, Yan Xiaoyi used all her strength to lift her leg and forcefully hit the spot between Shi Shanglan's legs, 3 inches below. Ugh! Shi Shanglan's face turned pale from the pain. Taking this opportunity, Yan Xiaoyi's body rolled. When she rolled to the foot of the bed, she panted heavily and forced herself to run off the bed. However, when her feet stepped on the ground, she had no strength to stand steadily. Her entire body fell onto the ground softly. Yan Xiaoyi turned her head and looked at Shi Shanglan, who had fallen onto the bed and was covering a certain part. This pill was something that the Brothers of the World group had prepared with each of them in case they needed it. Just now, Yan Xiaoyi wanted to take the opportunity to take the 100 Solutions pill. She was frightened by Shi Shanglan's sudden attempt to force himself on her. After taking the 100 Dispelling pill, she would be able to get rid of this kind of profound energy which had been dissolved, and her body was in a predicament where she didn't have any strength at all. After she regained her strength, then she would be able to rely on herself to leave this godforsaken place. Holding Qiao Jin's hand, after swallowing that 100 Dispelling pill, Yan Xiaoyi directly turned her head around and didn't look at him again. Chapter 1805. Shi Shanglan smiled warmly and said, "You don't have the right to take my life." Qiao Jin's expression darkened, and he raised his arm. A strong profound energy pulled the 3 gold coin darts out of the ground. Then, it shot straight towards Shi Shanglan. Qiao Jin's speed was extremely fast as he charged towards Shi Shanglan. Shi Shanglan didn't expect that Xiao Jin would dare to fight on his territory. Moreover, the place that was squeezed down by 3 inches was still aching from Yan Xiaoyi's earlier blow. Even when he walked, he felt a sharp pain in his body. Helpless, Shi Shanglan could only roll on the ground again, quickly rolling to the side to avoid the attack of the gold coin darts. However, Xiao Jin's palm wind had already landed. Shi Shanglan didn't have time to roll on the ground again. With a loud bang, Shi Shanglan's chest was hit by this palm. Instantly, a heart-wrenching feeling spread from his chest. Shi Shanglan groaned in pain, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. He quickly retreated a few steps, raising his hand to press on his chest. He fiercely widened his eyes, a sinister and ruthless glint in his eyes. "Guards! Men!" He raised his voice and shouted. The tightly shut door of the secret room suddenly opened. A dozen people dressed in night clothes charged into the secret room with large blades. "Young master." The night walkers saw the injured Shi Shanglan and immediately went forward, shielding Shi Shanglan behind them. "Capture these 2 people. We definitely cannot let them escape," Shi Shanglan shouted. That face that was warm like jade seemed hideous and terrifying at this moment. The dozen night walkers received the order, and instantly attacked Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi in an orderly manner. Those dozen people had clearly gone through special training. Their teamwork was also shockingly terrifying. In just a moment, they surrounded Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin's expression was grave as he retreated to Yan Xiaoyi's side. "Have you rested well?" Yan Xiaoyi clenched her fists. She felt that her strength, the strength that belonged to her, was quickly returning. The profound heart jade in her heart could also feel the weak light of the profound heart jade. She took a deep breath and stood up with Xiao Jin's hand. "Thank you." The tacit understanding between them didn't require any verbal communication. She took the 100 solutions pill, then continued to pretend to be weak and fell to the ground. In reality, she was waiting for the 100 dispelling pill to display its full effect, to cure the poison in her body, and to restore her strength. On the other hand, Xiao Jin was in charge of attracting Shi Shanglan's attention and buying time for her to recover. These people are all at the earth profound realm and above, they won't be easy to deal with. Xiao Jin reminded in a low voice. Yan Xiaoyi flipped her palm and a black scythe appeared in her hand. She gripped her scythe tightly, her eyes filled with fury. "Let's see if they're more powerful, or if my black scythe blade is more powerful." With that, Yan Xiaoyi's eyes were filled with killing intent. The scene of Shi Shanglan taking advantage of him filled his mind. She wanted nothing more than to kill Shi Shanglan to vent her anger. Both sides quickly clashed. Yan Xiaoyi was completely enraged. His attacks were extremely ferocious, as if he didn't care about his life. The black scythe blade in his hand flashed with a terrifying aura of death. While Xiao Jin fought against the night walkers, he also had to constantly pay attention to Yan Xiaoyi's movements. The current Yan Xiaoyi was in a state of rage. Chapter 1806. The strength of over a dozen nightwalkers was indeed, as Xiao Jin guessed, formidable to the point it made one's hair stand on end. Moreover, that damned tacit understanding. Even if Yan Xiaoyi did not play by the rules when she was enraged, she was still able to make the dozens of night walkers guard them tightly. In just a short while, the battle situation of 2 versus 14 high-level profound practitioners had a clear trend. Xiao Jin's side was at an extreme disadvantage. Both of them had dozens of wounds on their bodies. Yan Xiaoyi was tightly held in Xiao Jin's embrace, and the 2 of them continuously retreated backwards. After a while, the 2 of them retreated to a corner of the secret chamber. Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes and stared at the door of the secret chamber. In his heart, he was secretly calculating whether he could break through the encirclement of more than 10 nightwalkers and bring Yan Xiaoyi out of the secret room. At the same time, he brandished the coin darts in his hands and continuously shot them at the Night Stalker's weak spot. The black scythe in Yan Xiaoyi's hand did not show any weakness. Every nightwalker that charged forward, Yan Xiaoyi waved the blade of the black scythe, the sharp blade cutting iron like mud. There were already 2 Nightwalkers who were attacked by Yan Xiaoyi's black scythe blade. He was immediately cut in half along with his bones. And at the wound cut by the black scythe blade, it would also be surrounded by a ball of black deathly light. There was no way to stop the bleeding. After fighting for half an hour, the 2 sides were still in a deadlock. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi leaned against the wall and looked at them warily. When the Nightwalker saw the 2 Nightwalkers whose hands and shoulders were cut off and who were unable to stop the bleeding, he was shocked. He did not dare to step forward recklessly. At this moment, Shi Shanglan's pain at the spot 3 inches down had almost disappeared. At this moment, he saw that his men had yet to capture Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. His heart instantly became restless. Move faster. If the plan fails, I'll hold you responsible. The Nightwalkers looked at each other. For today's plan. Young Master had prepared for such a long time, and they had all seen it. They absolutely did not dare to take the blame for the failure of their plan. Once they took the blame, it would be a life worse than death. The Nightwalkers gripped the machetes in their hands tightly and slashed at the 2 of them again. Yan Xiaoyi had just recovered her strength. After another exhausting battle, he no longer had any strength left. Looking at the dozen or so Nightwalkers, their attacks became fiercer and fiercer. She gripped the black scythe tightly. Without giving her time to recuperate, she directly faced the attack of the Nightwalker. The coin darts in Qiao Jin's hands also rapidly struck the bodies of the Nightwalkers the moment she launched her attack. Suddenly, just as Yan Xiaoyi and Qiao Jin were attacking their targets, a lightning-fast figure suddenly appeared among the Nightwalkers. She saw a Nightwalker raising a machete high up and chopping down towards Yan Xiaoyi's head. Yan Xiaoyi had just waved the black sickle blade and split the Nightwalker in front of her. Suddenly, he felt an extremely strong killing intent coming towards him. She glanced sideways at the machete that was right in front of her. He was startled. There was no chance for him to dodge. She operated her profound jade heart, and used the power of her profound jade heart to immediately form a weak barrier. The machete landed on the barrier. Yan Xiaoyi's heart tightened even more, and she was just about to use her fastest speed to try her best to avoid it. But in the next instant, her body was tightly embraced by a pair of large hands. A chest that was as scorching hot as Shi Shanglan's, and as broad as Shi Shanglan's. But the feeling of nestling in this chest made her feel exceptionally at ease. Ugh! A muffled groan entered her ears. Chapter 1807. Qiao Jin, why did you rush up? Yan Xiaoyi felt something warm and sticky on her hand. Her expression froze as she pursed her pale lips tightly. Nightwalker's machete had landed on Qiao Jin's back. A bright red line of blood seeped out from it. The machete was smeared with poison. Fortunately, Yan Xiaoyi had formed a barrier in a moment of desperation. The barrier blocked the resistance of Nightwalker's machete. Otherwise, this machete could have directly chopped Qiao Jin into 2. Qiao Jin leaned on her delicate shoulder as he panted heavily. Black blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth due to the poison invading his body. Are you stupid or what? Do I need you to act like a hero? It's not like I can't avoid it. Yan Xiaoyi felt the weight of the body pressing down on her gradually increase. She also knew that this machete had caused Qiao Jin a heavy injury. The sound of heavy breathing rang in his ears. He let out a low chuckle. Yan Xiaoyi's face was filled with anger from the laughter. She pushed against his chest with both hands and pushed him away forcefully. What time is it now, can't you? She had yet to finish her words. Her beautiful eyes collided with his ink-black eyes. For a moment, all the sounds were choked in her throat. Qiao Jin's eyes were filled with tenderness. The lips that were overflowing with blood slowly rose into an extremely faint arc. He looked at her. The gentleness in his eyes seemed to only be able to contain her alone. Yan Xiaoyi's heart beat rapidly. She was completely unable to control her wildly beating heart. Why would Xiao Jin show such a gaze to her? This gaze, it was as if she was his entire world. It's good that you're fine. He was still smiling as he spat out each word soundlessly. But Yan Xiaoyi heard it extremely clearly. Her beautiful eyes instantly reddened as a thin mist filled her eyes. What exactly did he want? Why, when she had decided to give up on him? He would always use various methods to give her hope. To make her think that he actually loved her very much. Why did he use such a method to stir up her feelings for him again? Large tears gushed out from Yan Xiaoyi's eyes. She could no longer restrain her emotions. Even now, the two of you still have the mood to flirt? Shi Shanglan walked out from the group of night walkers. His lips curled up gently, and his eyes were filled with warmth. Xiao Yi, as your fiancé, I can give you another chance. He extended his hand towards Yan Xiao Yi. Come with me. His gentle smile was extremely dazzling. Yan Xiao Yi hugged the man on top of her tightly. She lifted her arm gently, her fingertips brushing past Xiao Jin's thin lips. After that, she and Xiao Jin changed directions. Xiao Jin stood against the wall. She stood in front of Xiao Jin and looked coldly at Shi Shanglan. Just as she was about to speak, the man behind her suddenly released her slender waist. The weight on Yan Xiaoyi's body instantly lightened. She frowned and reached out to grab Xiao Jin's wrist. Do you really believe his nonsense? As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Jin's large palm suddenly grabbed her hand. Then, he pulled hard. Yan Xiaoyi falls into Xiao Jin's arms. The thick smell of blood could not wash away the unique aura of the man. Yan Xiaoyi's heart violently trembled. She raised her eyes and looked in shock at the face that was right in front of her. An extremely ordinary face, but it was filled with an attractive charm. Especially that pair of dark eyes, which made one unable to look away. He did not push her towards Shi Shanglan. Ever since Shi Shanglan appeared, Xiao Jin had pushed her towards Shi Shanglan time and time again. Chapter 1808. This was the first time. Xiao Jin didn't push her to Shi Shanglan. If in the past, you treated Xiao Yi sincerely, I'm willing to hand Xiao Yi over to you. Xiao Jin's weak voice sounded as though he was barely breathing. He took a deep breath and continued, but now, I can confirm that Xiao Yi will not be happy if she follows you. I will not take Xiao Yi's happiness and bury it in your hands. Saying that, Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's waist. Even though there was a thin layer of clothing between them, Yan Xiaoyi could still clearly feel the boiling temperature from Xiao Jin's palm. Her red lips pursed slightly as her eyelids drooped down as she slowly leaned her head on Xiao Jin's shoulder. Xiao Jin's arms tightened as his ordinary and invincible face was filled with determination. Shi Shanglan, no matter what, I will not hand Xiao Yi over to you. His words had just ended. The gold coin darts in Xiao Jin's hands were like scattered flowers as they shot towards Shi Shanglan's direction. At the same time, Yan Xiaoyi, who was leaning on Xiao Jin's shoulder, also flipped over as the black sickle blade in her hands slashed downwards. Shi Shanglan's reaction was swift as he immediately flipped over to avoid Xiao Jin's attack. But those 10 overnight walkers weren't that lucky. The gold coin darts made a few whooshing sounds as they sank into their vitals. Even if there were night walkers who were lucky enough to avoid the gold coin darts. The next moment, it was Yan Xiaoyi's black sickle blade. In just a moment, the entire secret room was dyed red with blood. Go! Xiao Jin shouted in a low voice. Yan Xiaoyi kept her black sickle blade as her petite body suddenly stuffed into Xiao Jin's arms. Xiao Jin tightened his arms as he followed the gold coin darts, which opened up a path as his footsteps expanded. Yi Qing Luo's set of footwork immediately made Xiao Jin's figure move strangely as he dashed towards the secret room's entrance. Xiao Jin kicked the door open as he speedily stepped out. Outside the secret room was a dim and long tunnel. Looking over, it was a patch of gray as nothing could be seen clearly. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi didn't have the chance to think carefully. They could only choose to dash forward. Chase! The 5 night walkers who were still alive held their machetes as they shouted in anger. When the few of them dashed to the entrance, Shi Shanglan calmly said, "No need to chase. Young master." These brothers were the ones they had trained with since they were young and had gone through life and death situations together. He could only watch helplessly as his brothers died in front of him. How could they not avenge their brothers? They have nowhere to run. Shi Shanglan narrowed his gentle eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into an extremely faint smile. That smile was filled with coldness, like frost. The anger on the faces of the 5 nightwalkers slowly faded away. Qiao Jin hugged Yan Xiaoyi and fled to the back of the passageway. He didn't hear any footsteps behind him. Qiao Jinkai released Yan Xiaoyi's waist. When the warmth around her waist disappeared, Yan Xiaoyi felt a sense of discomfort. Her body tensed up as she awkwardly averted her gaze and took a few quick steps forward. Qiao Jin didn't say anything and followed behind her. The two of them were silent for a moment. The atmosphere was inexplicably strange. Yan Xiaoyi couldn't stop her heart from beating violently. She pursed her lips and decided to break the deadlock first. "Do you know what this place is?" Shi Shanglan and the others actually didn't catch up. "I feel. Logically speaking, it was absolutely impossible for Shi Shanglan to let them escape. Otherwise, he would lose the bargaining chip to threaten Yi Qing Luo. One must know that Yi Qing Luo had an overlord following beside her. Chapter 1809. There must be a trap somewhere. Qiao Jin's gaze swept the surroundings and slowly followed behind Yan Xiaoyi, saying in a deep voice, "This is the underground passageway of the treasure-gathering pavilion." Treasure-gathering pavilion? Yan Xiaoyi turned back in astonishment. What is the relationship between Shi Shanglan and Zhu Bao Pavilion? Qiao Jin shook his head. "I'm not sure. However, since Shi Shanglan dared to attack you in the territory of treasure-gathering pavilion and clearly knew about the underground passageway of treasure-gathering pavilion, he definitely has a close relationship with treasure-gathering pavilion." Pausing for a moment, Qiao Jin's expression became somewhat solemn. "I guess that Shi Shanglan is very likely one of the external forces of treasure-gathering pavilion. They were the same as the Shi family." Yan Xiaoyi's expression instantly turned solemn. She clenched her fists and was slightly annoyed with herself. Why didn't she investigate Shi Shanglan's identity before this? On the contrary, Shi Shanglan had investigated everything about her clearly. "Let's leave the tunnel first. Be careful. There might be assassins lying in ambush at the exit of the tunnel waiting for us." Qiao Jin glanced at Yan Xiaoyi and knew what she was thinking. Yan Xiaoyi responded with a soft "N." After taking a few steps, she bit her lower lip. Seemingly hesitating for a long time, she turned her head to look at Qiao Jin. "How are your injuries?" "The poison has already been neutralized. This is just a flesh wound." "It's not a big deal," Qiao Jin replied indifferently. "Oh." Yan Xiaoyi said softly and turned her head away. She didn't continue asking. As mentioned before, each of them had 100 solutions pill on them. Qiao Jin gave Yan Xiaoyi his 100 solutions pill. And just now, Yan Xiaoyi had fed Qiao Jin that 100 solutions pill. Just as Shi Shanglan mentioned asking Yan Xiaoyi to leave with him. Yan Xiaoyi took the opportunity to feed the 100 solutions pill into Qiao Jin's mouth. After that, Qiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's waist, telling her that the poison in his body had already been cured. After living together for a few years, the tacit understanding between the two of them had reached a point where there was no need for any verbal communication. One look. One movement. They would be able to work together flawlessly. Yan Xiaoyi's mind was filled with random thoughts. Suddenly, a series of orderly footsteps came from the tunnel ahead. The two of them halted their steps. Someone was there. There was someone in the secret passage. Had Shi Shanglan's men caught up? "Go. Let's go first." Qiao Jin pulled Yan Xiaoyi's hand, his broad palm wrapped around Yan Xiaoyi's hand. The two of them turned around and walked back in the direction they had just come from. However, he had only run a few steps. Another wave of orderly footsteps could be heard. There were people at the front and back of the passageway. No matter where they ran, they would die. Yan Xiaoyi looked left and right. What should we do? Can you still fight? Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yan Xiaoyi's hand, his tone inexplicably strange. Yan Xiaoyi didn't think too much about it. All her attention was on their tightly clasped hands. She nodded and said in a trembling voice, I can still, Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin suddenly called out her name with a serious expression, his voice slightly grave. Yan Xiaoyi raised her head in surprise and looked at Xiao Jin. The dim light illuminated the solemn expression on Xiao Jin's face. Yan Xiaoyi could not help but be solemn and straighten her back. If. I'm saying if. Xiao Jin's voice was a little gloomy. The Overlord and Qing Luo are not able to rush over in time. I will protect you, even if I have to sacrifice everything. His last few words were spoken in an extremely soft voice. Yan Xiaoyi could only vaguely hear something about sacrifice, something about everything. But it was merely these few indistinct words. They should have left the secret room for at least one incense stick of time. The blood on the ground isn't theirs. Dmo Xian narrowed his long and narrow peach blossom eyes. They should have escaped, let's find them first. There was only one passageway leading to the secret chamber. They had just walked all the way from the tunnel to the secret room. No one was sighing. If Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi escaped from the secret chamber. In this situation where there was only one path, it was impossible to escape. There was only one answer. This was a passageway or a secret room. There were other exits. Or other secret passageways. Little Nine, have you remembered the smell of West Shanglan? Yiqing Luo lowered her head and looked at Little Nine who was in her arms. Little Nine raised its head and its sharp fox mouth gave off a soft moan. Chapter 18:11. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone. Little Nine, lead the way. Once we find Shi Shanglan, we will be able to find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Little Nine leapt down from Yiqing Luo's arms. The two of them followed behind Little Nine and soon stopped at a wall in the passageway. Yiqing Luo held the luminous pearl in her hand and her half-squinted eyes suddenly fixed on a certain spot on the wall. She leaned closer and her fingertips touched the wall. Jin Zi's blood. Her expression sunk slightly. This blood was sticky. Apparently, it had just been printed not long ago. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi should be nearby. Jin Zi is poisoned? Yiqing Luo was very sensitive towards poisonous gas and very quickly she sniffed out the faint poisonous gas in the blood. Although it was very faint, but this smell had already automatically broken down in Yiqing Luo's mind through the 100 refining pill. Luckily, she had foresight. When she was refining the pills, she had given each of them 100 refining pill. To be able to escape from the secret room and escape to the passageway. They should be fine for now. She must find them immediately. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo's petite body suddenly stiffened as the expression on her face revealed a sliver of disbelief. What's the matter? Dmo Xian sensed Yiqing Luo's reaction. Yiqing Luo looked at the blood on her fingers. This poison is not Nirvana Realm's poison. The medicinal herb composition which was analyzed by the 100 refining pill could not possibly be wrong. The 100 refining pill clearly told her about it. This poison was known as the parting calamity pill. As the name suggested, after being tainted, within a short 1 hour, the life star would perish. This was an extremely vicious poison. And the medicinal herbs used to refine this poison could not be found in Nirvana Realm. At least, Yiqing Luo had never seen or heard of the medicinal herbs used to refine it. If it's not Nirvana Realm's poison, could it be? Dmo Xian's expression suddenly congealed. Do you know the name of the poison which Xiao Jin was inflicted with? Parting calamity pill. Yi Qing Luo replied, do you know the source of this poison? Parting calamity pill. Dmo Xian repeated these 3 words as his gaze dimmed. Lil Luo, if my guess is right. This matter, I'm afraid, might be a little tricky. Some forces outside the Nirvana realm have intervened in this matter. Yi Qing Luo quickly came to a conclusion. As far as she knew, the Nirvana realm was one of the lowest realms in this vast space. Except for the upper realm. There were also the various powers outside the 3 realms. For example, the dark forces. Compared to the Nirvana realm, those forces were all outstanding existences. Apart from an underground organization, there were actually other forces that had extended their claws to the Nirvana realm. Why does it feel like the current Nirvana realm was becoming more and more chaotic? Remember, stay close. Dmo Xian suddenly stretched out his long arm and clasped Yi Qing Luo's waist tightly. This sentence, remember it. Yes, 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 I will definitely not leave you. Yi Qing Luo hugged his waist. With a big Buddha like you around, even if other forces were to intervene, I'm not worried at all. Dmo Xian rubbed her head and pressed down hard as if he was threatening her. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and grabbed the mischievous hand on her head as she lightly patted the back of his hand. All right, now you know the seriousness of this matter, let's first find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Following that, she shot her gaze towards Little Nine. Little Nine, why aren't we moving? Little Nine squatted on the ground, and it, who had transformed into a small fox, swinging its 9 tails, looked extremely adorable. Chapter 1812. The smell stopped. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances. It's impossible for the scent to stop midway, unless he disappeared here. Yi Qing Luo looked at the direction of the blood stains on the wall. Suddenly, he exerted force and pushed against the wall. Kacha, a sound was heard. A hole suddenly appeared in the wall. There really is a secret passage. Yi Qing Luo frowned. Dmo Xian's gaze swept across the dark passage. Follow me closely. He took the lead to enter the cave, and after ascertaining the safety inside, he stretched out his hand towards Yi Qing Luo. Give me your hand. This man, he really took care of her meticulously. Stretching her hand into Dmo Xian's palm, she bent down and followed into the secret passage. Just as the tunnel was about to close up, a slender figure walked out from the darkness. The brown luxurious robe was warm and elegant. Wasn't it Shi Shanglan? Behind him was the skinny old man called Wu Sha. Young master, they have already entered the soulless formation. Our plan will succeed soon. Wu Sha's face was filled with joy as he congratulated Shi Shanglan sincerely. Shi Shanglan's smile did not diminish, it was still warm. Wu Sha suddenly thought of something and a worried look appeared on his face. But Overlord followed him into the godless formation. I'm worried. With Overlord's strength, he might, impudent. Shi Shanglan's smile froze, and he berated in a stern voice. He turned around and slapped Wu Sha's face. That gentle face was covered with a layer of greed and malevolence. The godless array formation is the strongest array formation of our godless island. Even if the people from the upper realm came, they would not be able to break through the godless array formation. What does 1 Dmo Xian amount to? Wu Sha lowered his head. His tiny eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a trace of sinister treachery. Shi Shanglan looked coldly in the direction of the secret tunnel and snorted. Now, we just have to wait for the prey to fall into the trap. Yes, young master. Wu Sha answered obediently. The 2 of them slowly walked to the wall and gently pressed it. The entrance of the secret passage was wide open, and the 2 of them stepped into it one after the other. Yi Qing Luo held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as the luminous pearl illuminated everything in the secret passage clearly. The 2 of them walked extremely slowly on the steep slope. Yi Qing Luo discovered Xiao Jin's blood stains on the ground once again. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi indeed entered this secret passage. Just what kind of place was this treasure-gathering pavilion? It was an underground tunnel with a hidden passage. They walked all the way to the bottom of the slope. There was no other way out. Although it was said that there was no way out, it was actually not that there was no way out. In front of him, he was blocked by a stone wall that could fit a person. The stone wall was covered with a layer of white light. The white light completely enveloped the stone wall. But when Yiqing Luo touched it, it was a real stone wall. What's going on? Yiqing Luo withdrew her hand and looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. Qiao Jin's bloodstains also disappeared beside this stone wall. She was sure. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi had entered this secret passage before. And now, they didn't see Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Which meant that there must be a path to head towards here. This stone wall which was emitting white light should be the key. Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes as he carefully sized up this stone wall. In his subconscious, he sensed an ominous premonition. This stone wall in front of him gave him an extremely uneasy feeling. But seeing Yiqing Luo's worry towards Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Chapter 1813. He was clearer than anyone else about Yiqing Luo's character. If he were to let Yiqing Luo leave now, or use forceful methods to bring her away, it would only attract a bigger backlash from Yiqing Luo. Although Yiqing Luo wouldn't get into a conflict with him because of his brother's matters. But to put her in a difficult position and make her sad. He couldn't do it. The girl he fell in love with was loyal and affectionate. It was absolutely not to protect his own life, but to give up the chance to save his brother. Dmo Xian stretched out his hand and held Yiqing Luo's little hand tightly. His obsidian-like peach blossom eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo's face. He lowered his head and his lips gently landed on her forehead. The scorching breath was a little heavy. She understood Dmo Xian. Just like how Dmo Xian understood her. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the strong pressure emitted from Dmo Xian. Her heart trembled slightly as a sense of uneasiness arose from the bottom of her heart. This place was very dangerous. Dmo Xian had already sensed the danger here. To be able to make Dmo Xian feel the danger and become serious. It was enough to prove that the hidden danger in this secret tunnel was beyond her imagination. Even Dmo Xian felt the danger. Then wouldn't Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi be? Don't be afraid, I'm here. Dmo Xian's gentle kiss gently rubbed against her disgust. His slender fingers clasped her little hand tightly. 10 fingers intertwined. His warm breath sprayed onto her face. He firmly and gently repeated, I will bring the 3 of you back safely. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. Her slightly creased brows were smoothed by his gentle lips. His firm voice made her uneasy heart gradually calm down. She stretched out her hand and looped it around his firm waist. Her elegant voice was filled with emotions. Ah Xian, I know that this request is very capricious, but to give up on saving them and leave with you alone, I really can't do it. She buried her head into his arms. I've understood a logic since young. Living in this world, only oneself is the most reliable. No matter what, I'm used to relying on my own strength to achieve whatever goals I want to achieve, and have never thought of relying on anyone. She paused for a moment. Following that, she raised her head and fixed her gaze on Dmo Xian. But ever since I met Xian, I'm getting more and more used to relying on you. As long as you're around, I'm not afraid of anything and I'm full of confidence in everything. A warm smile appeared on her face. A bright smile bloomed at the corner of her mouth. Xian, promise me. Not only will I, Xiao Yi, and Jin Zi be safe, you must be safe as well. The tenderness in the young lady's gaze made Dmo Xian's heart flutter. He clasped Yiqing Luo's lower jaw as he lowered his head and kissed her pink lips. This kiss was gentle with a bit of roughness. Deeply absorbing the sweetness in Yiqing Luo's mouth. This kiss, Yiqing Luo's hands tightly circled around his waist as her body turned soft. Dmo Xian released her lips and his breathing was heavy. The rest we'll go back and ask for it. She panted, and with a weak and soft voice, she softly spat out a word, all right. Dmo Xian held her tightly. After a while, when Yiqing Luo's consciousness recovered, Dmo Xian was about to release his profound qi to forcefully enter the stone wall which was enveloped in white light. Suddenly, a gentle laughter came from afar, ha ha ha. Even at death's door, you're still so affectionate, you're really worthy of being the overlord and the rumored heroine. When the voice entered her ears, Yiqing Luo's slightly blurred eyes suddenly became clear. Chapter 1814. Shi Shanglan. When Yiqing Luo saw who it was, her gaze turned piercingly cold. Where are Jin Zi and Xiao Yi? Shi Shanglan smiled warmly. Qing Luo, don't be so anxious. He was smiling. His smile was as gentle as usual. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk slightly. Shi Shanglan, there are no outsiders here and no devil classes students. You don't need to put on an act in front of me. Shi Shanglan's smile. It made Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly. She hated Shi Shanglan's smile. And hated Shi Shanglan's smile. It was this gentle gentleman's mask, attracting the group of youths in devil class who were ignorant of the ways of the world, deceiving the feelings of devil class's students. Yeah, I thought my disguise was flawless. Shi Shanglan pretended to be surprised as his eyes were filled with a gentle smile. I've been wearing this mask for so long, I almost thought that I have such a character. Speaking of this, as long as I use this face, this mask, I can easily play those brothers of yours in the palm of my hand. He touched his own face as his smile became even gentler. This face is rather useful. Yiqing Luo's brows tightened. He didn't say this matter was good. The moment he said it, Yiqing Luo had the urge to beat him up. As though he sensed the change in Yiqing Luo's emotions. Shi Shanglan's gentle smile deepened, since Qing Luo had already seen through my disguise. Based on Qing Luo's position in that bunch of fools' hearts, they should choose to believe you, isn't that so? These words were said in a weird tone, filled with insolence. Apparently, the meaning behind Shi Shanglan's words. He was ridiculing Yiqing Luo that she wasn't as popular as she thought she was. He was ridiculing that even if she really told those youngsters in devil class about his suspicions, those people might not trust her. He was flaunting his position in the hearts of devil class's students. Even if she was Yiqing Luo, the mental pillar of devil class. Wasn't Yan Xiao Yi a living example? Yiqing Luo's brows turned slightly cold. Her eyes were filled with a vicious aura. She wasn't angry about what Shi Shanglan said, devil class's students wouldn't trust her or something. It was the word fool that Shi Shanglan said. Shi Shanglan saw Yiqing Luo's expression turning gloomier and gloomier. An insolent smile that was completely different from the gentle jade-like smile appeared on his face. However, in the next instant, suddenly, a slap landed on his face. Pa! The crisp sound of the slap was extremely loud in the quiet secret passage, and it even echoed in the air. A bright red palm print appeared on Shi Shanglan's pale face. The burning pain caused Shi Shanglan to open his mouth and curse loudly. Even his muscles were in extreme pain. How dare you! Wu Sha finally reacted and leaped in front of Shi Shanglan. But he discovered that Yiqing Luo had already returned to Dmo Xian's side. It was as if he hadn't moved at all. But Yiqing Luo's waving hand and her pitiful look towards Dmo Xian had exposed the fact that she had slapped Shi Shanglan earlier. Ah, Xian, he's so thick-skinned. My hand hurts. Dmo Xian held her little hand and gently caressed it. I helped you peel off his face. Yiqing Luo smiled brightly as she nodded her head vigorously. A crack appeared on Shi Shanglan's gentle mask. Chapter 1815. Yiqing Luo curled her lips and smiled. No, I'm only warning you once. If you dare to verbally abuse my brother, the next time, it won't be as simple as a slap. You! Shi Shanglan grimaced in pain, blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. It could be seen how much strength Yi Qing Luo had used in that slap earlier. He was right. Yi Qing Luo had used her real strength. There was not the slightest bit of profound qi mixed in. This kind of slap was a bone-piercing pain. Don't get too full of yourself. The students of Devil class are just too young and don't know how sinister the human heart is. But it doesn't mean that just because you treat them a little better, they will repay you wholeheartedly. I won't tell them that my suspicion of you isn't because I'm afraid that they'll stand on your side, not trust me, or have a conflict with me. But I'm just using you to tell those young kids in Devil class, what is called a human heart is unpredictable, what is called a human heart is sinister. Humans had to experience pain and fall once before they would learn from their mistakes. Moreover, people needed to experience some things for themselves to understand some principles. Since Shi Shanglan wanted to make use of the students of the Devil class, then Shi Shanglan would make use of him. Once Shi Shanglan's true colors were exposed, these students would understand that not everyone was trustworthy. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, Shi Shanglan only felt that his pride had been ruthlessly trampled on. He had always thought that his plan was flawless. No one could see through his acting skills. He used his gentleness to surround those who trusted him wholeheartedly. Then he would make use of those idiots whom Yi Qing Luo valued, to deal with her. But when he realized that all his assumptions were just self-righteous, the pride in Shi Shanglan's heart was shattered. He clenched his fists, suppressing the anger surging in his chest. He knew Yi Qing Luo's ability. He also knew how powerful Dmo Xian was. Appearing here was merely to see Yi Qing Luo pleading bitterly because Qiao Jin and Yan Shao Yi were in his hands. But he had not expected that he was so infuriated by Yi Qing Luo that he almost threw up blood. Shi Shanglan clenched his fist. He had always been good at scheming. He had always been able to calculate everything in an orderly manner. There was no way he would lose to a 15-year-old girl. Yi Qing Luo, you have the time to bicker with me, but I think your two brothers probably don't have that much time to wait for you. Shi Shanglan raised his hand to wipe off the blood on the corner of his lips as he stared coldly at Yi Qing Luo, sneering endlessly. As expected, Yi Qing Luo's face sunk. Shi Shanglan, I don't care who you are or whether the force behind you is from outside the Nirvana realm. I only want to tell you one thing. Her eyes were filled with a piercingly cold light. If Xiao Yi and Jin Zi are heavily injured, I will uproot you and the power behind you. She enunciated each and every word clearly. The viciousness in her eyes was very obvious. That gaze caused Shi Shanglan's heart to contract. Not waiting for him to retaliate, Yi Qing Luo's extremely cold voice was heard once again. Don't doubt whether I have that ability or not. I have a way to exterminate the dark forces. You, Shi Shanglan. I can do the same. After finishing this sentence, Yi Qing Luo no longer had the intention to tangle with Shi Shanglan. She didn't need to find out the whereabouts of Yan Shao Yi and Qiao Jin from Shi Shanglan. Chapter 1816. Shi Shanglan was right about one thing. Qiao Jin and Yan Shao Yi probably didn't have time to wait for her. She couldn't waste any more time on a useless Shi Shanglan. Dmo Xian unleashed his profound energy. Their fingers intertwined. The white glow instantly enveloped the both of them. Immediately following that, Dmo Xian and Yi Qing Luo stepped into the stone wall. Slut! Shi Shanglan stared at the stone wall viciously as he clenched his fists tightly. This young patriarch wants to see what ability you have after entering the godless array, to destroy this young patriarch's forces. Wu Sha shot a glance at his young patriarch who was in a frenzy and immediately lowered his head. The expression on his face was somewhat solemn. His young master could be said to be resourceful and shrewd. But why was it that in front of Yi Qing Luo, he was so easily angered? And what made Wu Sha even more shocked was that was Yi Qing Luo's ability. Recalling the last time, which was when Yi Qing Luo just entered Heavenly Academy, the three of them were in Heavenly Academy's backyard, trying to snatch Yi Qing Luo's profound phoenix ring. Yiqing Luo's profound grade was obviously extremely low. The last time they failed in Yiqing Luo's hands. That was because they didn't know Yiqing Luo well, hence they didn't know about her martial arts and strange movements. And they felt another person's presence. Thinking of that person, a strange expression appeared on Wuxia's face, but it quickly returned to normal. And this time round, when Yiqing Luo slapped Shi Shanglan, he hadn't reacted in time. Yiqing Luo had already completed her action and returned to her original position. It could be seen that this young lady who could use her own ability to seal the King of Darkness's consciousness completely. It wasn't just because of good luck. The uneasiness in Wuxia's heart was magnified once again. After passing through the stone wall, Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. Because the scene in front of her eyes. She didn't know how to describe her feelings right now. In front of her was a stretch of tall buildings, people and cars. Her ears were ringing with various car horns which she hadn't heard for a long, long time. She was now standing in the 21st century. The era which belonged to her. How was this possible? How did she return to the 21st century? Lil Luo, what's the matter? The man in front sensed the change in Yiqing Luo's emotions as he slowly turned his head back. He had a peerless face and a gentle smile. Dressed in a purple robe, he stood on the streets of the 21st century. It was so intoxicating. Yiqing Luo's heart was unable to conceal the agitation in her heart as she clenched tightly onto Dmo Xian's tightly intertwined hands. Ah, Xian, do you know where this place is? Dmo Xian smiled slightly, very unfamiliar and very surprised, but little Luo, looks very happy. Yes. I'm very happy. Yiqing Luo's voice was trembling. She held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as her face was filled with joy. Xian, do you know, this is my hometown. I was born here and grew up here. Yiqing Luo didn't want to hide her real identity from Dmo Xian. Although, to her, she had completely treated herself as Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. But when she stood in front of the familiar 21st century, she then realized that she was ultimately not that Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. Dmo Xian laughed lightly as he stretched out his hand to pull her into his embrace. Your hometown, then you should bring me around. I want to see the place where Lil Luo, grew up. His voice was extremely gentle. Yiqing Luo felt an indescribable strangeness. She wanted to raise her head to look at Dmo Xian's expression. Chapter 18-17. Ah, Xian. Yiqing Luo whispered softly and wanted to raise her head. But the moment she moved, the palm on the back of her head exerted more force. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart continued to magnify. Just as Yiqing Luo wanted to resist Dmo Xian. Above her head floated his mellow voice, Little Luo, this is the place where you grew up. I'm so excited. His voice was slightly trembling. The hand holding her body gradually tightened. The familiar sandalwood smell lingered in her nose. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart gradually dispersed. That was right. This place was an extremely unfamiliar place to the ancient Dmo Xian. And it was the place where she grew up. Dmo Xian's mood had such a huge change, which was a matter of course. But Yiqing Luo, who was buried in the man's arms, did not see it. The peerless man on top of her head had a gentle smile on his face, but it did not reach his eyes. That shimmering peach blossom eyes flashed with a horrifying cold glint. Faintly, there was a bit of red glow. All of a sudden, 8 spider-like black tentacles extended from his body. The tentacles bared their fangs and brandished their claws towards the young lady in his arms. The red glow in his eyes became more and more dazzling. It made those peach blossom eyes look extremely demonic. The black tentacles seemed to want to imprison Yiqing Luo and send her body towards Dmo Xian's chest. At this moment, Dmo Xian's body was like melting mud, as Yiqing Luo and his arms slowly merged into his body. And the young lady nestled in Dmo Xian's arms. But she was totally unaware of all these. The 8 black tentacles, bit by bit, tried to enter Yi Qing Luo's body. Just as the tentacles were 1 centimeter away from her back, Yi Qing Luo's body, suddenly a ray of red glow appeared. The tentacles were fiercely bounced back. Dmo Xian's body swayed slightly as his body became tense. Ah Xian, what's the matter? Yi Qing Luo didn't know what happened. She didn't notice the change in this Dmo Xian. She only suddenly sensed that Dmo Xian's body was slightly stiff. Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with malevolence as he glared fiercely at the young lady in his arms. When the girl broke free from his grip and forcibly raised her head, she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Dmo Xian's reddened eyes swiftly reverted back to the pitch-black obsidian color. The 8 feelers also retracted in an instant. Ah Xian, are you not used to this place? Yi Qing Luo raised her hand, wanting to caress Dmo Xian's face. There was a lot of sweat on his forehead. Dmo Xian hurriedly avoided her hand and released her delicate body. No, nothing, Lil Luo, first bring me to the place where you used to stay to take a look. Yi Qing Luo's hand froze in midair, slightly stunned. Ah Xian would never avoid her touch. Little Luo, Seeing that she was standing at the same spot, not moving for a long time, Dmo Xian stood in front of Yi Qing Luo, raised his hand and grabbed her wrist. Under his tugging, Yi Qing Luo took a few steps forward. Her gaze fell on the hand on her wrist. Warm palms, slender fingers. Very familiar, it was the big palm in her memory. But Yi Qing Luo faintly sensed something strange. But the source of this strange feeling, she had no way of knowing. The person in front of her shouldn't be the fake Dmo Xian, right? Chapter 18:18. No, that's not right. From the moment they passed through the stone wall that was flickering with white light, Dmo Xian was worried that they would be separated. He intertwined his fingers and held her tightly in his hands. Until the 21st century, their hands had never parted. She was very confident in her perception. If this Dmo Xian was a fake, she must be able to sense it. But the person in front of him, whether it was his appearance or the aura he emitted, was very familiar. Dmo Xian. How could he be a fake? His heart was in a mess. Dong. Yi Qing Luo's face crashed heavily onto the man's hard chest. She covered her nose in pain and looked up at him. Dmo Xian had unknowingly stopped his footsteps. He slightly furrowed his brows and looked at her face with a slightly heavy gaze. His tone was somewhat steady. Lil Luo, do you not wish for me to know about your past life? Yi Qing Luo's hand that was covering her nose paused. Her eyes met his. There was a faint suspicion in his heart. When she met his gaze, she inexplicably wanted to believe him. How could that be? Yi Qing Luo stabilized her state of mind as she smiled. All along, I've wanted to bring you to the place where I used to live, but I've never had the chance. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes rippled. The ripples were like a huge net that could capture one's soul. Layers upon layers, enveloping Yi Qing Luo's heart. But your expression tells me that you don't want me to appear here. His slender fingers gently caressed Yi Qing Luo's forehead. A warm touch brushed across the skin of her face. Yi Qing Luo's petite body trembled slightly as she shrunk back unnaturally, avoiding his fingertips' touch. I didn't. Dmo Xian sighed softly. Lil Luo, you know that I can't bear to make things difficult for you. If you're unwilling, I won't force you. No, it's not like that. Yi Qing Luo lowered her eyes, not knowing how to express her feelings at this moment. How was she going to tell Dmo Xian that she had just suspected that he was a fake Dmo Xian? Under the current situation, Dmo Xian was obviously a little angry. If she mentioned her suspicions about him again, wouldn't that be adding fuel to the fire? Seeing Yi Qing Luo lowering her head, Dmo Xian's glistening pupils gradually turned gloomy. Inside its body, those 8 black tentacles were stirring, trying to entangle Yiqing Luo tightly. Dmo Xian restrained his agitation and maintained his calm tone. All right, I'll stop teasing you. It's rare to see Lil Luo's hometown, let's take a look around first. The girl in his arms suddenly stiffened. After that, the young girl raised her head. Xian, do you know where this place is? Dmo Xian smiled faintly, Little Luo's hometown. Yiqing Luo nodded. Then do you still remember why we returned to my hometown from Nirvana Realm? The gentle smile on Dmo Xian's face froze. Of course I remember. You don't know, or have you forgotten? Hearing Dmo Xian hemming and hawing, Yiqing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards, revealing a sly smile. Immediately after, Dmo Xian felt his arms lightened, and the warmth attached to his chest dissipated at this moment. The young girl in his arms unknowingly broke free from the restraint of his arms. Chapter 18-19. Dmo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo and nodded with a smile. Speaking of this, even I'm seeing Lil Luo's hometown for the first time. His gaze swept across the busy streets, as well as the shops on both sides of the road that shone with all kinds of strange lights. The people walking back and forth on the sidewalk were dressed in appalling clothes. Even I was shocked. Xiao Yi and Jin Zi might not be able to adapt to it either. Dmo Xian said as he took a step closer to Yiqing Luo. Lil Luo, let's go look for the both of them first. Yiqing Luo smiled, but I don't want to go look for them with you now. Dmo Xian halted his approaching footsteps. Isn't it faster to split up? Yiqing Luo added another sentence while beaming. The restless Dmo Xian was just about to unleash his aura, but like a punctured balloon, it instantly died down. Lil Luo, I'm worried about you. Dmo Xian took another step towards Yiqing Luo. Although this is your hometown, but it is after all not in the Nirvana realm, it's too dangerous here. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up delicately. Her body was as light as a butterfly as she suddenly took a few steps back. With a flash, he leaped onto a nearby bridge. She supported herself with one hand on the modern stone bridge as she smiled and waved at Dmo Xian. Xian, don't worry, I'm more familiar with my hometown than anyone else. Let's go look for Jin Zi and Xiao Yi first, and after we've found them, we'll meet up here. The moment he turned around, the smile on Yiqing Luo's face suddenly disappeared. What replaced it was a solemn and dignified atmosphere. That person was not Dmo Xian. Although Yiqing Luo was unable to explain why she and Dmo Xian had stepped into that white light stone wall together, with their fingers intertwined. He could even replace Dmo Xian without anyone knowing. But Yiqing Luo was completely certain now. That person was absolutely not Dmo Xian. If it was Dmo Xian, he wouldn't have repeatedly requested for her to bring him around, or bring him to the place where she used to stay, and such requests. Once, twice. She only thought that Dmo Xian cared about her too much. But 3 times, 4 times, furthermore, he made such a request when Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's life and death were still unknown. It couldn't help but make Yiqing Luo suspicious. Because Dmo Xian knew how much she valued and cared for her brother. Why would she delay her search for Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi just to see the place where she had grown up? She knew that person was not Dmo Xian. But it was impossible to guess what motive he had for pretending to be Dmo Xian. She also did not know the other party's identity. Under such circumstances, she could not forcefully expose that he was not Dmo Xian. Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were waiting for her rescue. Her Xian must be looking for her everywhere. She had to find them immediately. She had just crossed the bridge and entered a high-class shopping mall when Yiqing Luo discovered another strange thing. Previously, when she and Dmo Xian were standing in the middle of the road, there were people coming and going all around, the traffic was heavy. She even leaped onto the bridge. It didn't attract anyone's attention. Obviously, the people here could not see her and Dmo Xian. But, when she rushed into the shopping mall, she could clearly feel the gazes of the people who were shopping on the street. There were also people pointing at her and whispering about something. Yiqing Luo's hearing was sharp, even if she wasn't listening carefully. Chapter 1820. Who's that beauty? Why is she wearing an ancient costume? Could it be a big star filming a movie? She's so beautiful, she must be a big star. Let's go take a look and find out what movie the big star is filming. This ancient costume suits her too well. Just based on this face, I will definitely chase after her till the end. After a while, Yiqing Luo's back was already surrounded by a large group of people. Looking at the modern clothes in front of her, Yiqing Luo had a feeling that it was a lifetime ago. Until she was surrounded by a group of people. Yiqing Luo reacted. She wanted to escape, but she was surrounded by those people. So many people were staring at her. If she used her light body technique to escape, in less than half a day, she would probably be treated as a monster. She might even be caught and dissected. What was going on? Wasn't this world an illusion created by Shi Shanglan? Even Dmo Xian was fake. Wasn't everything here fake as well? Why, she felt that it was so real. She almost thought that she had passed through the white stone wall and traveled back to the 21st century. She couldn't judge the authenticity of everything in front of her. Yiqing Luo didn't dare to act rashly. Lass, can you hear my voice? Suddenly, a voice emerged in Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo was pushed by the crowd and her eyes suddenly lit up. Old Man Song. In this place, the connection between Old Man Song and her had not disappeared. Phew. I finally got in touch with you. Old Man Song took a deep breath. Finally, what do you mean? Old Man Song activated the vision function in the Azure Dew bracelet. Seeing the current situation, he said, find a quiet place first and listen to me. Yiqing Luo was surrounded by a group of people until she couldn't breathe. Originally those people chased her to ask if she was a star and what movie she was filming. Yiqing Luo only shook her head in denial. This time, she simply admitted that she was a star. Then she used the excuse of rushing to the set to film. As for what movie it was, she would find out after a few months. Finally, she escaped from those people. Yiqing Luo expressed that she was indeed not suitable to get along with the modern people. In the Nirvana realm, no matter how much the commoners liked someone, they would reservedly stand at a distance and watch silently. Yiqing Luo had not discovered it. While she was trying to get away and find a quiet place. Not far away from the shopping mall, a strange person covered in black sportswear with a hood covering his entire face stopped in his tracks. The strange man raised his head. Even the hood revealed a pair of sinister and crimson eyes. His scarlet pupils reflected the image of a red-clothed girl in an ancient costume who had left in a hurry. His pupils constricted slightly. That was Yiqing Luo? How could she appear here? The strange man's crimson eyes were filled with astonishment. Just as the freak was about to catch up and confirm the girl's identity, the red-clothed girl was nowhere to be seen. The strange man staggered a few steps back, his body trembling slightly. After thinking for a while, he turned around and quickly walked out of the mall. Yiqing Luo finally found the toilet in the mall and squeezed into one in the corner. She wiped the sweat on her forehead. Old Man Song, is this the real world or an illusion created by Shi Shanglan based on the world in my memory? Star. Chapter 1821. Old Song's spirit body emerged from the Azure Dew bracelet. White mist curled up, making his spirit body look extremely illusory. This isn't the Nirvana realm. If someone were to see you like this, they might think that you're haunted. I might as well enter the Azure Dew bracelet and talk to you. Something that could make Old Man Song appear and talk to her must be very serious. No one else can see me. Old Man Song's spirit body floated one round above Yi Qing Luo's head. This plane is too dangerous. You must maintain your consciousness. Danger? You mean, this is not Nirvana realm, but another plane? Yi Qing Luo knitted her brows. From the moment you stepped into the soulless array formation, you entered another plane. Old Man Sung's voice was deep and solemn. Godless array formation? These 4 words gave Yi Qing Luo an ominous premonition for no reason. Yes. Godless array. Old Man Sung looked at Yi Qing Luo. Do you still remember that time? The 3 evils who wanted to snatch the profound phoenix ring? Those guys from the Godless Island? Of course Yi Qing Luo still remembered that group of fellows who had snatched her profound phoenix ring out of nowhere and disappeared mysteriously, never to be heard of Godless Island again. That's right, it's the Godless Island. Old Man Song's white eyebrows tightly knitted together. The poison that you used 100-pill refinements to analyze is also an extreme poison from Godless Island. Godless Island, meddling with forces outside the Nirvana realm? If I am not wrong, Shi Shanglan should be from Godless Island. Moreover, he is the son of the island master of Godless Island. Old Man Sung's words made Yi Qing Luo's eyes sink. Her eyes were filled with astonishment and disbelief. How could the Shi clan of the West Continent and Godless Island? Speaking of this, Yi Qing Luo's words suddenly came to a halt. The Shi family indeed had nothing to do with Godless Island. But that didn't mean Shi Shanglan didn't have one. Shi Shanglan. She had always suspected Shi Shanglan's true identity. The current Shi Shanglan was most likely no longer the gentle Shi Shanglan from before. He was replaced by the so-called son of the island master of Godless Island. His motive was to get close to Yan Xiaoyi. No, more accurately, it was to get close to Yi Qing Luo. Shi Shanglan's target was Yi Qing Luo. Previously Yi Qing Luo had this conjecture. Unexpectedly, Shi Shanglan was really not Shi Shanglan. Thinking of the Godless Island's interest in her profound phoenix ring, Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased tightly. Then what is the godless array that you mentioned? The forbidden formation of Godless Island. Old Man Sung's voice suddenly became deep and heavy. Forbidden array formation? He dares to use a forbidden formation in the Nirvana realm? Aren't you afraid of attracting the people from the upper realm to maintain the balance in the Nirvana realm and make a move on Godless Island? Yi Qing Luo cried out in surprise. In order to deal with her, he even took out a taboo array formation. Should she feel honored? Once the soulless formation is set up, as its name implies, even gods will be unable to escape once they enter the formation. Old Man Sung sighed softly. So, not to mention Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, those 2 fellows, if they enter the soulless formation, just the overlord lad, I'm afraid he will be trapped here. The beauty of the soulless formation is that it targets a person's inner heart, which is an array that attacks one's heart. It has thousands of changes and it's an instantaneous change. Perhaps in the previous instance, you need to use your intellect to break the array. In the next instance, you need to use your strength to break the array. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.